Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another time here. It's a time I use for book club, and we're reading through a book, The Good Life. It's a book released in January this year, and it's a summary of the results of a study of human development. Asking the question, what does it take to live a good life or to have a good life? And the answer came out as relationships, right? Relationships as the secret to living a happy, healthy, fulfilled life, And it's not just relationship with a few folks, but relationships in different fronts in our life. And it's not just having relationship, but having quality relationship, one that is beneficial and is life-giving, right? And so we're trying to read through the book and trying to learn, from the discovery of the study, and see what we can apply into our life. I particularly need it. It's a blessing to me, That'll be surprising because I'm supposed to be a jovial person, right? Easily make friends. That's on the surface. I have a long ways to go also in having quality relationship. So I'm learning, and I hope you're learning also, or you could take something out of this. That's why I do it. It's a selfish way of me reading the book or reading books because it forces me to read and having the privilege of sharing it, hoping that other people can learn from what I am learning myself. I see my dear sister Agnes from Houston joining in, and Zelajo, I'm not sure, but thanks for joining on and hoping, you can get anything from what I'll be looking at here. Presently in chapter 2 of the book, and so there's a second read into chapter 2 of the book, and it's pretty much at this point looking at money, and trying to kill off the myths about money being the source of happiness, in life. The study came up that it's relationship, but obviously there are a lot of myths around that it's money that makes happiness. So that's what we're looking at this point in time. The title of chapter 2 is why relationship matter. So I was trying to pretty much cancel some things, then go into why relationship matter. I'm going to bring up my slides here. All right, so I am sharing my slide here, and you'll see it on Facebook Live. And all right, so pretty much as the book introduction. So we're going second part reading into the chapter 2 of the book, and it's talking about why relationships matter, right? And we stop with the introduction looking at the myths against money, and we continue there. And the question that is posed here, reading through further into chapter 2 of the book, says what money is for. What is the essence of money? Try to close last week, we said it's not just money, but what money can be used for. We don't chase after money for the sake of money. None of us can eat money, right? It's not about what we store in our bank account that helps us with money, or what we accumulate. Is what we're able to do with the money that we get that can possibly give us happiness, give us a quality of life, give us the experience that kind of makes our heart happy, right? If all we do is gather the money, then it's useless, right? It's really what we can use the money for. Yes, in a sense, money can buy happiness if you know how to use it, right? Not just the money itself, but it's what you do with the money that can possibly give you happiness. All right. So today we're looking for at what money is for. And the book talks about a study that was done in 2010, right? At Princeton University. And it says, and what they discovered in trying to see what the effect of money on people's happiness is that they saw that when money is scarce, when people are poor, when money is scarce, right, having some quantum of money could possibly affect their happiness, right? If someone is homeless, if you give them some quantum of money, it would change their happiness status, right? Money can affect your happiness when you are at the very down of life, right? But up to a certain amount, the happiness quantum does not change. So pretty much they're saying that if money would possibly make you happy if you don't have the basic needs of life, like you don't have clothing, you don't have food to eat, you don't have what to drink, you don't have a house over your head, maybe you can't pay for your children's education. When you lack the basics of life, money can possibly change your happiness quantum or your happiness index when you get it, but only up to a certain amount, right? That's what the study found out. So money mattered at some minimum level, right, up to a certain amount. And in that particular study in 2010, in the environment they did a study at, it was up to like about $75,000, up to about $75,000. There was a change in the seeming happiness quantum or index in the lives of the people they did a study on, right? And so they say more money doesn't necessarily buy more happiness, but less money is associated with emotional pain, right? So in a sense, if that has happened to me, right? I went into depression for 2 years, like in 2008, and it was because I lost a quantum of money, right? I was at a particular status in life, and I made some things that lost me a lot of money, and that really affected me, right? Because I was in a particular status, and I came down from that status. Yeah, I wasn't at the at the very low status where my basic needs were still met, right? But that change of status brought an emotional pain, in my life, which is what the study here is finding out. So if you're up there and you suddenly come down, you might not necessarily be that you are not meeting your basic need. That can affect your happiness quantum, right? Loss can affect your happiness. Like Warren Buffett would say, the law of money is not to lose money. The first law, the second law, and the third law is not to lose money, right? When you lose money, it could come with an emotional pain or reduction, as it were, in your happiness index, right? So you don't want to lose money, right? It's not about if you have your basic needs met, right? Money will not necessarily increase your happiness, but if you then lose money, it could affect your happiness, right? So the book further says, the study further says, the Princeton 2010 study says, at lower levels of income, money brings tangible benefits that are necessary for survival, safety, and a sense of control, right? So that's what money could possibly do. And scripturally speaking, the Bible in Proverbs says, I believe it's Proverbs, it says that money answereth all things, right? So in this wise is what it tallies with this study. It says at lower levels of income, when your basic needs are not met, money brings tangible benefits that are necessary for survival, safety, and a sense of control. So that could possibly affect your happiness, right? However, at higher levels of income, right, and 75,000 was what they had for this particular place. That's not the same everywhere, right? But for the particular study area they did. So, but whatever that is a place where you've already met your basic needs. It says at higher levels of income, the meaning of money starts to become somewhat more abstract, right? And becomes about other things, right? Like status, pride, right? It's not as if you're meeting your basic need, but it's not how much do I have, right? It's about status, it's about pride, right? It's about self-actualization, right? Which pretty much ties in with what Abraham Maslow had, right? Abraham Maslow has what we call the hierarchy of needs, right? And it's a pyramid where you have 5 levels, 5 stages of needs, right? And it flows from the basic, the psychological, and the self-fulfillment needs, right? Once you have your basic needs met, money probably doesn't make that much difference, afterwards, right? It's not about psychological, status stuff, more like decisions, right? You could as well be a, what they call this, a mini, they call it minimize. There are people that do minimum living, but their basic needs are met. So that's why they can do all of that, right? So needs lower down the hierarchy must be satisfied before the ones higher up the hierarchy. A Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And the first need there is talking about psychological needs, right? So psychological needs, safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization. I said psychological. What it really is, it's not psychological, it's physiological. Pretty much, that talks about having what to eat, what to dress yourself with, and where to live, right? Those are your basic needs, right? And when those are satisfied, every other thing is a like to have, right? And that's a scriptural, right? I believe Paul was writing and he was talking about that once we have those, that, when it says, say contentment with godliness is great gain, something like that. But it talks about having those basic needs, right? When you have those basic needs, right, money probably stops mattering, right? It's not a function of pride, status, self-actualization, your goals, wanting to be financially free or whatever. But that's really those things that affect your happiness as it relates to money. Once the physiological needs are met, which pretty much is what to eat, what to dress with, and where to live. Every other thing, it's secondary. Safety being the next one could also matter, right? You want to be in a place where you want to live in a place of safety, but that doesn't necessarily affect your happiness, because there are probably different other ways in which you can guarantee that. And yeah, so but pretty much Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is physiological, which is what to eat, what to dress in, where to live. Safety. The third one is love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization, right? So money is woven deep into the foundation of modern societies, right? Those are things that would see all around us. And if we get carried away with that, then our happiness could be something that comes outside of our control, right? So pretty much we could either control our happiness or start chasing after the Joneses, right? And allow other people to determine when we're happy or not happy by comparison, right? It is natural that we see it as a central medium, right, through which we interact with the world and pursue so many things in life, right? Money answers all things, right? So, but the important thing is to be the one in control, right? As much as money is interwoven into all the different things in life, as much as money answers all things, right? Cutting our coats according to the cloth we have, will determine whether we're happy or not, right? It's not every new thing that comes we have to buy, right? Money is good, but if money begins to control you, you will not be happy, right? Your happy becomes something you keep on chasing, right? But you can also use that money, and if you are in control of that money, then you then become in control of your happiness. If money is in control of you, then you're not in control of your happiness. It becomes to be something outside of you that will be controlling your happiness. So money is good if you are the one using it and you know how to use it, right? But if you don't know how to use it and it's the one controlling you, your money, your happiness will be something that you keep on chasing all the days of your life, right? You probably never get there, right? But happiness is something we need to design for every day of our life, every minute of our life, every second of our life. Happiness is not something we design for the future. We design it for now and for the future. If you're not happy today, you will not be happy tomorrow. You need to be happy today so that you can be happy tomorrow, right? That's what we're trying to get at the end of the day. So some of our happiness also depends on what we see when we look at our neighbors, right? And there's a temptation for that to be, but it's up to us then to check ourselves, right? Because my neighbors bought a new car doesn't mean I have to buy a new car, or I have to be sad just because my neighbor has bought a new car, right? That's where I used to be years back, right? And it's not a good life, right? A good life is me be able to rejoice with my neighbor without feeling bad about myself, right? I have to be the one that's determining what I have or not have at every point in time, right? Not buy things just because my neighbor has bought it or my neighbor is doing it. I have to determine what I want, design my life, and live to that design that I have designed my life, and not be chasing after the Joneses, right? Because even though I'm seeing that on the surface that my neighbor has, I don't know how my neighbor got it, right? There today, right now, I can buy a whole lot of things that I've not bought, right? But I'm choosing not to buy them because that is what makes for all the things, the way my life is designed right now, right? Such that I don't have to go borrow money, so that I can live within my means, right? I choose not to, right? So my neighbor buying it has their own design, right? Which is different from mine. So if I allow my happiness to be decided or determined by what I see other people do, I am going to live sorrowful all the days of my life, right? So it goes on and says that research shows that the more we compare ourselves to others, even when the comparison is in our favor, the less happy we are, right? When we compare to others, we're either better than them or less than them. But irrespective of what that is, it affects our happiness in a negative way, right? That's what the research from Princeton shows, right? And that's true, right? He that compares himself to others is not wise, right? That's what the scripture says. He that compares himself to others is not wise, right? Our fingers are different. You need to live your life, cut your life according to the clothes that you have, right? And not be order driven, right? Because we all have different examination paper that we're answering. Our life is answering to. You need to answer to the examination paper of your life, not the examination paper of another person's life. If you want to live a good life, a healthy life, and a happy life, right? So the bigger the disparity we see, the greater unhappiness. That's what the research shows when we compare ourselves to others. The greater the disparity between us and others, the greater the effect it is on our happiness, right? So we need to avoid that temptation of being comparing ourselves to others, right? And some quote I stumbled on yesterday, talks about money can't buy happiness, but financial freedom has a priceless view, right? And that's both true and false. Money can buy happiness if you know how to use the money, right? Money can buy happiness if you know how to use the money. The only time money cannot buy your happiness is if you don't know how to use the money and the money is using you, right? So, but then when you know how to use it and you have enough that will take care of your physiological needs, you have what to eat, you have what to clothe, you have where to stay, right? Then every other thing is a wash. It's not a function of how you use it or content yourself, right? So that's about it, and that's about all we're going to share for today. Just looking at what money is for, right? Money is for use, not to accumulate, not to compare yourself to other people, but to use, not to allow it to use you, but to use. When you use money, then you can buy happiness with it, right? So what actually makes me happy is the question, and probably the introduction to the next part of the chapter we'll take next week. It says, all of us have a rich mix of things we can control and things we can't. That's a reality about life, right? None of us Jesus calls us God, but in that God, there's a limitation. We're not Almighty God. We're human. And humanity dictates that there are things we can control in life. There are things we cannot control in life. and being happy and living a good life is to understand the things, understand and accept the things you can control and the things you cannot control, right? You have to understand and accept the things you can control and the things you cannot control, right? And spend your time, your energy around the things you can control. Because when you spend your energy and time on the things you can control, the things you cannot control will take care of themselves, right? Your happiness is determined not by the things you cannot control because you have no control, right? If you keep on trying to control it, you'll be unhappy. But if you spend your time on the things you can control, you will begin to shift the needle, and that shift of the needle will affect the things you cannot control, right? The only way to control the things you cannot control is by working on the things you can control. If you work on the things you cannot control, the things you can control will become the things you cannot control, and you will lose on both sides. But if you focus your energy around the things you can control, the things you have energy, you have the skill, the ability, the time, the connection to change, to make a difference in, right? Your difference you are making to those things will, on their own, begin to affect the things you cannot control and make things better for you and give you a better, good life, right? There's one other quote I shared yesterday. I was trying to key into, but it's running in my head. It comes back, but there will always be that in life, right? Things I can control, things I can't control. I can cry all I want on the things I can't control. They're not going to change. They're not going to shift, right? Life does not expect that of me. What life expects of me is to focus on the things I can control, things I can make a difference on, right? And when I do that, the things I cannot make a difference on will take care of themselves, right? So if each of us must find ways to walk with the hands we're dealt, right? So in life, it's not about the cards you are dealt. It's about what you do with the cards you were dealt. And I shared a quote this week on Joseph. Joseph, I'm going through a time of my life that I need to learn a lot from Joseph, right? Joseph was taken into captivity. He had no guarantees in Egypt. There was no guarantee that he will make it in Egypt, in a sense. There was no guarantee he will ever go back to his father's land or ever see his brothers or his father, right? But he was there, right? And he had no control about when he would go back, if ever he was going to go back, or if he was going to break through in Egypt. He had no control over that, right? Yes, he had a dream, right? But God did not tell him how that dream will come to pass. So Joseph did not waste his energy and time on the things he could not control. Every day he worked on the things he could control. He worked on being the servant of God, being good-natured, being hardworking, right? Having fellowship with Jehovah. His ability to work on that is what was noticed by the people around him, and each place he went, they promoted him. Not because he was spending his time on the things he could not control. He wasn't grumbling, oh me, I couldn't go back. Oh, my brothers did this. He spent his time on the things he could do, right? And that gave him joy. That gave him happiness. That gave him, that made him to shine enough for him to be promoted in a place of his captivity, right? And may God give each of us that wisdom as we go each day of our life, that will make the best of all that we can do, knowing that there will always be things we cannot do, right? But leave those things we cannot do to Jehovah while we do the things we can do, and God will work on the things we can do and promote us in life.